Hey, what's up, YouTube? George here, trading futures live, where we trade futures live in front of the camera every single day. Looks like the live session is not working. Well, I'm going to continue on. Economic calendar today, we got zero, Nathan, nothing, nada. Mortgage delinquencies. That's the only real news in the news today on forexfactory.com. We do have a decent week of news up ahead. Nothing on Monday, though. PMI on Tuesday. New home sales. Core durable goods on Wednesday. GDP quarter over quarter, preliminary GDP and unemployment claims on Thursday. Jackson Hole Symposium starts day one. And then core PCE. So red folders on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Decent news even on Wednesday. And so I like what we could see next week as far as some nice movement. If we go ahead and take a look at the markets overnight, the markets are down considerably. They have broken the lows of the week, the lows of the last few days, all four major indexes here to the top left. And they are, again, down considerably, actually. Let's take a quick look here at the overnight. Pre-market down 0.5%, down over 0.75%, down 1 full percent on the Nasdaq. So down a good decent amount in the overnight. Not exactly what I like to see when I wake up in the morning. Breaking levels before I had an opportunity to get in. Having this type of movement on all four major indexes, they have all broken the lows on the week. And so with them being down, the VIX gapped up and is up back above 20 after closing yesterday below 20. 20 kind of seems to be the middle of the range over the last few days, bouncing up between 2050 up here, 2060 and 1950-ish. And so we'll see if the VIX continues to rise, and this is the beginning of a drop in the markets. We've got the dollar also breaking up. It broke yesterday to the upside, which was somewhat unaligned with the markets that were essentially flat at close. Well, no, they did close up, I believe, but it was a very, very choppy day where the dollar just went straight up, essentially. And so not so much alignment there between the dollar and the markets yesterday. Again, we've broken the high from yesterday and continue to move up. If we go to, let's say, a 240, I mean, we've broken a ton of highs, breaking out of not just the highs of the last few days in this run up, but the last couple of months really as well. And so this was yesterday's close, the red dotted line. Yesterday's close closed above all of this, and we're continuing to break higher, testing these highs from back in July. Looks like where it wants to head to. Go back to the 60-minute. Crude is down, back below 90. Tested 90 yesterday. Still inside of yesterday's range, though. The lows from yesterday being 87, and we're right around 89 right now. Gold continues to drop, holding below the 21 EMA. Tested a breakout above it yesterday, but broke back down and has been pushing down even in the overnight, although it did just recover since its open back to break even, essentially, back to yesterday's close. And so those are the markets thus far in the overnight. If we go ahead and take a look at the charts on the ES, we've got the weekly chart up. You can see that weekly candle starting to push back down because of the overnight. The low in that candle, I believe, is the low of the week. Yes. Yeah. Is the low of the week. So we're currently in the lows of the week that were created in the overnight. Still bearish on this time frame, like we talked about yesterday, I've got this trend line up here that it needs to break, and really what I need to see is a new low, a higher low than this low, right, and then a break back up to be bullish on this time frame. Until that point, I will be bearish on this time frame, waiting on some exhaustion. But when can that exhaustion come? Well, it can come now. This could be the top for the pullback, but it could just chop here, break out of the trend line before exhausting back to retest to go long. But I am still waiting on that exhaustion, although so is the majority of the world, and that gives me pause that it's going to be right now or today. Can it be today? Can it be right now? Absolutely. But there just seems to be so much bearish sentiment out there that gives me a little bit of pause on that. On the daily, it does look here like we're trying to roll over, right? New lows in the overnight, bouncing right off of this 200 SMA that we have up here. We're still trapped between that 200 SMA and the 200 EMA. We are still holding this trend line technically, although we did break below it in the overnight, and I believe we're still below it on a lower time frame. Yeah, this is that trend line here, the very thin line that I can't. Oh, there we go. This is that trend line that we did break below and are holding below right now, and so we'll see that on a lower time frame. But at the very least on the daily, especially today, we're gonna want to see where this candle closes. If this is a wide-ranging bearish candle to the downside, yes, this could be the break that we're looking for to come and create a new low. And so on this time frame today, I am neutral to neutral bearish today on this time frame, although leaning more towards the neutral than any real sentiment because of the move in the overnight. The move was a bearish move in the overnight, but we haven't had any exhaustion in it. A little bit, but not much. And so what I certainly don't want to see, what I wouldn't like to see, is for price to just break straight down when the market opens. I'd like to see maybe a retest of any of these trend lines. As you can see, I had this trend line drawn out yesterday here. We had a break of it. We did have a quick little retest with that candle, and that's going to kind of be my pre-market support and resistance level, right above where price is right now. That coincides with these lows from the last few days, as well as even the lows from Monday back here, kind of. And so that's going to kind of be the line in the sand, I think, right now for me. Is above that zone, we'll be looking to get long. Holding below the zone, we'll look to get short. Not necessarily going to rush into anything, though. The question is, does price want to go lower? I mean, was this drop down the signal that we're going to test these lows down here and maybe even the highs of CPI down here and move 100 points today? We absolutely can, and I need to be ready for that. But it's going to be a decision made in real time in the markets, because don't have enough information yet to make any decisions. We're going to need to wait for the internals to open up, the advanced client and the tick chart, and see if they pick a trend, a very clear trend, maybe to the downside, especially if they open up an extreme negative territory, which I do expect them to open up an extreme negative territory. If we take a look here, I mean, I expect them, with the move, I certainly expect them to open up below the negative 1,000 that I have marked out on this chart. Absolutely, we should be opening up below the 1,000. I mean, maybe even below 1,500, negative 1,500. And kind of the same goes for the tick chart. I expect this to open up down here in negative 1,000, negative 1,200 territory on both the on both the NQ and the NYSE. Getting a pullback in the dollar. Now a strong dollar is good for the short. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Getting a nice pullback right now in the dollar. Does it need to come and test this range that it created in the overnight before it takes off? We shall see. But we do have a nice support and resistance level created here that the dollar could pull back to before starting to go long again, which would increase our chances of a short in the indexes. And so my if-then statements on the day. Now this blue dotted line, just so you know, this is a point of control from this day, which was last Friday. So it's the point of control from last Friday and where the move on Friday took off from. And so we are going to keep an eye out for that. I do have a rather large zone, as you guys can tell here, on the 1 hour chart. I have gone to a smaller time frame to see if I can make this a smaller zone, but I mean, this is the zone, unfortunately. It hasn't touched it in the overnight, but it came pretty darn close to it, and you still have like this leg out as well included. So I mean, technically I would even consider this to have already come into the zone, at least tested the zone once. So we'll see this zone, and I consider it to be pretty high quality. I mean, if you look at the push that we got out of there, that's a heck of a push that we got out of there last Friday. And so I do think we are going to find some buyers in this zone. So if I'm short, I don't want to be getting short like on a quick breakout here. I would like to see a pullback into this zone and try and give me a chance to get in somewhere up here. So that's going to be one of my first scenarios, right? If we get a pullback here at the open, maybe retest the trend line and start to break back down and get some kind of retest for me to get in maybe somewhere inside of this zone, or just breaking back out of this zone to give me some profit potential. I certainly want to be out of, I certainly want my 2 to 1 to basically be just above this high volume node. It's 42, 30, 50. And so going to need to make sure that we have the profit potential in any type of trade that we take short. If price does happen to just break out without us, again, we're going to need to wait for it to react off of this zone, and give some kind of pullback, maybe not that far, before we get short. But if we get a strong reaction off of there, we could maybe consider that to be the low of the day, to where we can take that back long. And so kind of two short scenarios right now is short with a reaction off of like the trend line and the support and resistance created up here. I do even have a nice level here, a drop-based drop that we had there. And so really, I mean, this zone could even potentially be a huge zone that I don't like necessarily marking off like that. So we're just going to leave it like that for now. But we have a ton of supply created. I mean, we had a nice move down here. Not necessarily a ton of volume because it was in the overnight, but a nice move down created off of these highs from yesterday that we need to be aware of. We've got the highs from this move and the highs from this move on Wednesday that we need to be aware of. So we do have plenty of supply up here. It's going to be tough for me to get long today. Unless we get a few retests of the lows and get to a point where I think that whatever low was created, whether it's this one or a new low, that I can have a fair degree of confidence that that's going to be the low of the day and a retest before breaking back up. So really only kind of 3 if-then scenarios, because even if we get a break up higher, say we even get up into here, if we start to show signs of rejection, is what I'm going to be looking at more so first, back to the downside, than saying, oh wow, we broke this support and resistance, we got to pull back, let me try and get long. There's a ton of supply up here. Sentiment is not necessarily bullish. So my sentiment being neutral and neutral bearish, but more neutral. Not really looking for the longs. The internals are going to have to... The internals are what's going to have to convince me that it's time to go long. I'm going to need quite a few of them to be pointing up. I'm going to need the dollar in my favor breaking down before I can really try and get long in any of these markets. And so that's going to be the daily recap, or not the daily recap, the pre-market analysis, guys. I did not have a daily recap yesterday. I actually just recorded it before this video. Haven't had time to post it yet. Hopefully I can do that a little bit later. That's it. We'll catch you guys in about 10 minutes. Take care.